Fulk IV, called Le Réchin, was the Count of Anjou from 1068 until his death. The nickname by which he is usually referred has no certain translation. Philologists have made numerous very different suggestions, including quarreler, rude, sullen, surly, and heroic. Early life. Fulk, born 1043, was the younger son of Geoffrey II, Count of Gâtinais, and Ermengarde of Anjou. Ermengarde was a daughter of Fulk the Black, Count of Anjou, and the sister of Geoffrey Martel, who preceded Fulk and his brother Geoffrey as Count of Anjou. Count of Anjou. When Geoffrey Martel died without direct heirs, he left Anjou to his nephew Geoffrey III of Anjou, Fulk le Réchin's older brother. Fulk fought with his brother, whose rule was deemed incompetent, and captured him in 1067. Under pressure from the church, he released Geoffrey. The two brothers soon fell to fighting again, and the next year Geoffrey was again imprisoned by Fulk, this time for good. Substantial territory was lost to Angevin control due to the difficulties resulting from Geoffrey's poor rule and the subsequent civil war. Saint-Denis was lost, and Fulk had to give the Gâtinais to Philip I of France to placate the king. Much of Fulk's rule was devoted to regaining control over the Angevin baronage, and to a complex struggle with Normandy for influence in Maine and Brittany. Author of the History of Anjou. In 1096 Fulk wrote an incomplete history of Anjou and its rulers titled Fragmentum Historiae Andegavensis, or History of Anjou. The authorship and authenticity of this work is disputed. Only the first part of the history, describing Fulk's ancestry, is extant. The second part, supposedly describing Fulk's own rule, has not been recovered. If he did write it, it is one of the first medieval works of history written by a layman. Succession. He died in 1109, leaving the restoration of the countship, as it was under Geoffrey Martel, to his successors. Family. Fulk may have married as many as 5 times. There is some doubt regarding the exact number or how many he repudiated. His first wife was Hildegard of Beaugency. Together they had a daughter, Ermengarde, who married to Alan IV, Duke of Brittany. After her death, by 1070, he married Ermengarde de Bourbon. Together they had a son before Fulk repudiated her in 1075, possibly on grounds of consanguinity. Geoffrey IV Martel ruled jointly with him for some time, but died in 1106. Around 1076 he married Orengarde de Châtellerault. He repudiated her in 1080, possibly on grounds of consanguinity. He then married an unnamed daughter of Walter I of Brienne by 1080. This marriage also ended in divorce, in 1087. Lastly, in 1089, he married Bertrade de Montfort, who was apparently abducted by King Philip I of France in or around 1092. They had a son, Fulk V. Lejeune, Count of Anjou and King of Jerusalem.